Welcome back to the daily event. I'm going to do one more quick stream. 1 second here. I'm just going to try to get the chat going real quick. Okay, so why? Okay, so the chat. Okay, the chat's there. No. That's. Maybe I'm just misunderstanding how the chat works. Got the Streamlabs on the side here. Anyway, so I'm gonna get into the stories. So I think I might have ended the last stream with talking about looking at the fog stuff a bit more. So I don't know how much more stuff has come out. So this is from December 30th. So this might have already. Yeah, this was 12:50 a.m. So this would have been when I was doing the other stream about it.
What the hell is that?
So there's gonna be language in some of these videos probably.
Hey.
So
Niall!
be aware.
What the fuck is that? Niall, come
There
here.
you go. So this might be from the same guy that I watched a different video from.
Niall! Come here, right now.
That's a dog, I assume.
Niall, get over
The dog
right
looks
now.
like he's having kind of a happy time or whatever. But and it's sometimes
creepy.
kind of difficult
Seriously.
to.
You tell me what is all this fog?
It's difficult kind of,
looks
and
like
it's funny because
snow,
I think
how
the
deep
dog's
it is.
taking a dumper,
Or
a whiz
it's,
there.
thick.
So anyway,
What the hell
I
is that?
think in video, especially like maybe phone footage, it might be hard to grasp exactly the context of how the fog looks when stuff is happening, right? So like if he describes the fog looking a certain way, it might be difficult to really grasp how different it looks, because like all fog on a video like this might look kind of similar. So it's like you might not get the level to which he's saying unless you're actually there. So this is kind of interesting. So this is from January 1st. So drones plus some weird stuff being sprayed out of them, plus strange fog, plus sick people equals deep state.
Look at him spraying.
So this is the difficult thing, is it's hard to tell what any of this is. Like at first,
Look at it.
I think initially I thought it was a drone based on this, and then the more I was looking at it, I wasn't sure if it was like a plane or something.
Look at that.
But I don't know if
He's
this is
spraying the
moving
side
at all.
again.
And even this, like, is that
Bro,
light or
this
is that
fucking crazy,
just
man.
some spray like he's saying? Again, like the video's not like the best
Look at this guy.
resolution and lots of noise probably.
They're spraying the skies.
I'm getting to the point now with videos like this where I pulled up these photos, or I got these searches ready. Like, so this is a Sony FX3. This is a more expensive camera. I think it's like 4 something grand, probably somewhere in the 4 grand region, maybe. I'm not exactly sure the exact price is. Full frame cinema camera. And, you know, get your Sony 200 to 600. And it just, as somebody who's, you know, into cameras and stuff, what bums me out or what bothers me about so many of these videos, I don't know how much it bothers me. I think it's bothering me more now, because like how many videos have we seen where it's like this grainy phone footage, or like a while ago when I would look up stuff on YouTube, it's like even like footage that was from, I'm gonna guess, somewhere between 2010 and 2016 or whatever. Some of the footage that was up that I think I remember seeing, I don't know when it was recorded, but it feels like, I said this to I think a friend of mine one time, it feels like no matter how, I might have said something like this, it feels like no matter how advanced we get with our camera technology, all this stuff is still like looking like old 2000s camcorder footage. And we're, in a way, we're better than that now with the phone stuff, obviously, but at night, this is the thing, the phone footage might look good during the day, but at night, when it just looks like this, you know, and it's like, and also phones, well, at least now they get the multiple lenses, so it might be able to, like, you know, you put on the telephoto lens and then you get maybe a bit of a better picture than just the old days, like, more digital zoom on the stuff.
Just sprained that.
But it's like, why is none of this ever captured with something like this? Nice big full frame sensor, crank that ISO, probably still look pretty good. Big old lens on there. Zoom in on that thing optically, not digitally. Again, if you have like a phone with multiple lenses, you might have that telephoto lens on there, but how much telephoto is it really? Or even just like, even footage during the daytime, like you got a phone, you're zooming in with your phone, but how good does it look when you're trying to zoom into like way across over yonder? And it's like, even just get like a camcorder. Can everybody just get like a half decent camcorder and just keep it on them so that when we see crazy stuff like this in the sky, we can get some zoom on that thing? You know what I mean? And then more fog stuff or whatever. So this is getting kind of wild. I don't know. Did I watch this? I'm not sure. So I watched most of these clips beforehand, but
So you're telling me that an abnormal fog pops up all over the United States and is being reported in Europe as well, with these particles that are flying around that are not snow or moisture, have a chemical smell, and are leaving a white residue in some areas. And some people who have been exposed to the fog are falling ill with the same illness of inflamed sinuses, can't sleep, loss of appetite, and people think this is just a normal cold and flu and has nothing to do with this abnormal fog? Okay. So you're telling me that an abnormal...
Okay, so smart dust. Smart dust, self-assembling, self-orientating photonic crystals or porous psi. The term smart dust was coined by Christopher Pister, I don't know who that is, of University of California, Berkeley in 1997 to describe his wireless array of sensor nodes. So is this where we get the nanomachines, son?
Fog pops up all over the...
So smart dust, so that's 2003, I think. So smart dust is a system microelectromechanical systems, MIMS, that are used to collect and transmit data. The concept is similar to Internet of Things devices, but smart dust devices are much smaller and can be multiplied by the billions. Smart dust devices can detect many things, including light, temperature, vibration, magnetism, and chemicals. The only thing is, like, smart dust has the potential to be used in many fields, including environmental monitoring, defense, healthcare, and industry. However, there are some concerns about smart dust, including privacy issues and the potential health effects of breathing in small amounts. So, like, is it electronic or is it not? Because, like, at some point, I don't know if it was something that she said or something that I read that made it sound like it wasn't. So microelectromechanical. So then that would be like nanomachines.
White residue in some areas, and some people who have been exposed to the fog are falling ill with the same illness of inflamed sinuses, can't sleep, loss of appetite, and people...
I'm just gonna drop a little retweet
People think
on that.
this is just a normal cold and flu and has nothing to do with this abnormal fog?
Yeah, okay, so like the only other article I saw recently was one from InfoWars on this, and then I don't know if people are talking about this yet. I haven't looked into if there's any mainstream media talking about this yet. And then there's this. I think I heard about this story before. I don't know who said it. If it was, I don't even remember.
He authorized Sidney Gottlieb to spray germs. Into the fog in San Francisco Harbor. The point was to try to infect 800,000 people in San Francisco with this germ just to see how many would get sick. And they thought that the germ would sit heavily in the fog and would linger in the air longer that way to infect more people. Now remember, nobody knew that this was happening. And I don't mean just nobody in San Francisco. I mean nobody. The CIA director didn't know it was happening. The president didn't know it was happening. This was Alan Dulles and Dr. Sidney Gottlieb.
Deep state at work? Question mark.
They spray this this poison into the air, and 11 people got identical urinary tract infections within the next 3 days. Now, we know that these were specific to the germ because these urinary tract infections included bleeding, but with blood that had crystals in it. Doctors were so taken aback by the fact that this wasn't just a urinary tract infection, but these people were discharging crystals from their bodies,
It's
that they
probably
actually
painful,
got
right?
together
Maybe.
in doctors' groups and talked about it. That what in the world is this? Is this some kind of a new disease? And then, like magic, it just went away. And it went away because it was just a CIA experiment. In 1951, Allen Dulles becomes the director of the CIA, just like he planned to.
So when are we defunding this? I say we, but I'm not an American, but if I were, I mean, like many probably are. It's like, can we defund this? Can we do away with this? Did JFK say he wanted to shatter the CIA into a million pieces? I don't know if that was the exact quote. And so then, okay, so we'll keep on the fog thing for a second here. So, is it smart dust? Is it being released by all these drones? Is it something else? Why can nobody ever have a camcorder? Or, so I couldn't find it, but I was trying to look up this telescope that I saw on BBC News, like maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago. And it was a telescope that had like, I think 2 or 3 hinges on it. So it was kind of like this weird arm thing. And I think it costs like $40,000. And this is like an electronic telescope that will, like, I guess, auto-orientate to certain planets or whatever. And it's like, if I had like a lot of money and a lot of money to spare to spend it on stuff like that, it would be cool to own something like that. And like, so I found something else on YouTube earlier that was called, like, I think it was classified as a smart telescope. This is a different telescope than the one I'm talking about from BBC. But it's like, just to have something like that for when these UFO sightings come around, so that you could just point it up at the sky and just be like, what the heck is that? And then you could just see it close up, high definition. Although I don't know if these telescopes can do like real-time video or not, but even just like get a telescope and mount your trusty rusty FX3 on there and get something. You know what I mean? Like, enough with the bad phone footage, man. Anything looking like a camcorder from 2004. The future is now. Let us get to the HD stuff. Everything looking all grainy and stuff. Like,
This guy.
like, it's better to have something than nothing. But why does it always have to look like this? Like, does anybody have a close-up shot of what these drones all look like and when they're doing stuff like this? Anyway. Side rant, but moving right along. So, on to the recent bad stuff that's been happening. So, from Benny Johnson here, talking about the terrorist attack in New Orleans, or this relating to that, I believe. So that was, correct me if I'm wrong, that was New Year's Day, and I think they had to cancel the Sugar Bowl as a result of it.
Patrick said we'll be taking over the investigative lead for this event. This is not a terrorist event. What it is right now is their improvised explosive devices that was found, and we are working on confirming if it's a viable device or not. As Chief Kirkpatrick said, we're asking everyone to stay away from Bourbon Street, specifically from Canal Street to St. Anne. That is my ask. Once again, stay away from Bourbon Street, Canal Street, all the way to St. Anne until we can figure out what is going on. Our goal is to provide you additional information at the 11 a.m. press conference. Kirkpatrick.
Okay, so I was listening to this today on the PBD podcast. So Pat talked about how she sounded nervous or something like that, I think he said that. And then also, so yeah.
We'll be taking over the investigative lead for this event.
Yeah, so initially sounds...
Not a terrorist event.
So here's the thing. So how do you know that?
What it is right now is their improvised explosive.
If there's improvised explosives, why would you so quickly say it's not a terrorist event? So here's the thing. Based on what? So here's the thing. So hold up. An FBI... Oh, I don't have the second screen. Hold up. An FBI agent with a nose ring who can barely speak coherent English. So that's being a bit hyperbolic, but regardless, English sentences told the media that a terrorist driving a truck with an ISIS flag killing 10 Americans is not a terrorist attack. Seriously, listen to this. We need Kash Patel now. So, yes, hopefully Kash Patel would do just absolutely positive things and fix all this. But we won't know till January 20th. Hopefully comes around. Hopefully everybody's ready to go and does good things. Hopefully Kash cleans house in a good way. And we hopefully start moving in a good direction. So, in relation to what this lady's saying, I don't know when this talk was given. Was this talk given before they inspected the vehicle? Did she know, if there was an ISIS flag in the vehicle, did she know that? The question of whether everybody was up to date, that question might be worth asking, but at the same time, it's if she is with the FBI, shouldn't she kind of be briefed on that or know that everything up until the point, especially if you're doing a news briefing? And wouldn't you want to wait till you do a news briefing to first find out the necessary details first? So here's the thing. If she knew all of this, all of the details of the situation beforehand, if it's true that all of this is accurate, why the heck would you say it's not a terrorist attack?
What it is right now, not a terrorist.
So not a terrorist attack.
What it is right
or
now
event.
is there improvised explosive devices that was found, and we are working on confirming if it's a viable device or not.
So does it matter if the device is viable or not?
Explosive devices.
So here's the thing.
Right now,
So
there improvised explosive. What it is right now is there improvised explosive devices that.
what it is right now.
Explosive. What it is right now is there improvised explosive devices that was found.
So if you found improvised explosive devices, and you know that they're explosive, does it matter whether they're viable to the extent of which you treat the situation with some level of seriousness? Unless you want to claim that somebody, an imaginary scenario where somebody was just doing a prank or whatever, it's still there would be probably some deep doo-doo you'd be getting in for doing something like that.
And we are working on confirming if it's a viable device or not.
Yeah, so at the very least, could you say potential terrorist attack at the beginning, right? Why would you just say
For this event, this is not a terrorist event.
how do you know? When you speak with absolutes, you could, even if you said we believe that this may not be, why are you speaking in absolutes? You know what I mean? And then, does it matter if the device is viable or not if you found what you believe is an explosive device? All this kind of and the ISIS flag, all this is kind of pretty plain. So anyway. And yeah, if she is nervous, why is she nervous? And is it possible that everything is becoming more increasingly obvious that it's not necessarily what it seems at face value? Okay, that's a different video. These are all next case. So in relation to other potential terroristy things. So, breaking Matthew Livelsberg, this is from Tony Saruga. Breaking Matthew Livelsberg shot himself before blowing up the Cybertruck outside Trump Tower. So I need to correct something that I said the other day, where when I was talking about this before, I said I don't think that anybody died or something like that. And then I think I heard this morning in the background noise in my house or not my house, my parents' house, that there was one death in I believe in the Tesla truck bombing, right? So I'm assuming that this is that death. I don't know. Because I thought I was under the impression that nobody died initially, but I guess somebody did die. Authorities have revealed that, and also this was this was posted January 2nd, so I don't know when this was first reported. So did people know initially that anybody had died? Anyway, authorities have revealed that Matthew Livelsberger, 37, shot himself in the head moments before his Tesla Cybertruck exploded outside Trump Tower in Las Vegas. We do not know who we do know who rented the truck. We are looking at that individual, but I am not prepared to release the name of any of the individuals that we are looking at. Clark County Sheriff Kevin McCahill said on Wednesday. Senior law enforcement sources confirmed to KOAA news outlet that Livelsberger was the driver of the Cybertruck used in the attack. Sheriff Kevin McMahill? No, McMahill. McMahill? I don't know. Confirmed on Thursday that Livelsberger's body was so badly burned in the explosion that identification was only possible through his tattoos, Daily Mail reported. So you got the Daily Mail article. Okay. Anyway. So you got the United States government. So I'm guessing that's Army ID. I don't know. And then is that passport? Arizona. So real quick, so they blacked out, I guess, what they had to black out. And then that is the pistol, I guess he shot himself with, I'm guessing. And then that is wherever they're examining it. So, this is very sus. You don't gotta be a rocket scientist to maybe see that. This is giving me vibes of when people talk about 9/11, about like, I'm not an expert on all the details of the story and how the events played out, but I've heard people say, I think, about how they just like found the passports of the pilots or something like that. If that's, I don't know if that's the accurate telling of the story of events on how things happened, but didn't they find passports to like one or two of the hijackers or something like that on 9/11? Like, that were just there on the ground or something like that, even though like the planes went through the buildings and all that fire and everything, but they found passports, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. This feels kind of similar to that, because it's like, hey, so first of all, why was this guy at Trump Tower in Las Vegas with a Cybertruck? And if I understand it correctly, this was rented. So we do know who rented the truck. So I'm guessing that the person who rented the truck was different from the guy who was in it at the time of the explosion who shot himself. I'm just guessing based on the linguistics here that is the proper understanding of this, right? So, unless this guy's like on duty, who travels with the United States government Army ID? I assume that that's what this is. If that is what this is, who travels when you're not like on the job or whatever with their Army ID? Is this common? Like, do people do this? Especially he's in Vegas, and his passport's Arizona. Yeah. So anyway, and who? Okay, he's an American, right? I assume. So, is that place of birth? I don't know. So if he was born in Arizona, so he's an American citizen. Who travels as an American citizen to, yeah, so it's an American passport, right? So who travels as an American to Vegas with their passport? Is that common? Like, cause you need, I know in Canada, I think you just need like a driver's license or something to fly within Canada. So is it the same in US? Like, do you need just like normal ID? I assume you don't need a passport to fly in country in the US. So who has both these IDs on them just casually? And then the gun, I don't really have any comments on that, but it's like, it just feels kind of sus. Okay? Like, and where, so this is it here. So anything else I'll get to, so this also is relevant. Okay. So watch this. So, okay. This is from the Died Suddenly Twitter page. So I saw this video earlier today, but just see what he has to show here. This is eerily similar to the San Bernardino, this is eerily similar to San Bernardino, where the house of the terrorist was left wide open for press to find credit cards, Qurans, and bomb-making materials, all to fit the narrative of an ISIS insurgency. Same with the Pulse nightclub shooter. CIA agents like Sarah Adams, trained to deceive and shape narratives, have lately been appearing on popular podcasts predicting these very events and warning about sleeper cell Islamic terror. Okay, so we're just going to watch this.
The first glimpse inside the lives of the San Bernardino shooters. The killer couple's landlord prying open the boarded up doors.
So technically, if they had to pry open the doors, then it wasn't, what's the word that he used? It wasn't, where the house of the terrorist was left wide open. I guess if I'm understanding what he's saying versus what I'm seeing, I'm guessing it wasn't left wide open, but at the same time, did they present the house in that kind of way? You know?
Inside the home, left behind by Syed Rizwan Farouk and Tashfeen Malik.
Signs of what he was up to. We have this work area here, lots of different chemicals splayed around.
So, here's the thing. When she says different chemicals laid around, and like, just, this is kind of low resolution, but look at this table. Like, and if you could find higher resolution, or if you could go to the original footage and it looks better, feel free to go there. But it's like, look at this table. Like, I almost thought of, like, something came to my mind earlier, like, did you measure the distances between the items? Like, this feels pretty neat. Oh, wait a minute. Never mind. I correct myself really quick. That is the print of the table. I thought those were little things laid out on the table, but it's like I guess a leopard print table, so I correct myself there. But, so this desk, I guess, looks kind of lived in. But
different electronics. This is, again, a work setup.
And also, like, when the way that they talk about this stuff, it's like you're talking as if you know what it is, right? And it's like, it might be more believable if they're like, okay, this looks like it might be a work setup, you know, but like when you speak like this,
different electronics. This is, again, a work setup.
Malik.
Some signs of what he was up to. We had this work area here, lots of different chemicals splayed around, and different electronics. This is, again, a work setup.
Yeah, so the emphasis, they kind of speak kind of like they a bit too affirmatively, you know.
If we go over here, actually, you can see the Department of Justice documents here, the search warrant, and the property that they recorded here.
So here's the thing. So this, you could argue, makes sense to be laid out on the table like this, because if it's like Department of Justice and they're like, hey, when you do the walkthrough video, look at these pages, these are the blah 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 details or whatever. So it's like, that could be understandable, but initially it was just like, it looks so sus how they're just laid out so neatly. But this is the one, or the two objects that would make sense to be laid out more neatly.
There seems to be a lot of chemicals.
And like, what's like the random can opener just like kind of on that angle there, like.
But it's here in the couple's bedroom closet. Where
like, this looks more natural.
Investigation that took place, as CNN's Stephanie Elam discovered during a tour of the home.
Here you can see
Is this
where
the one?
they smashed up into the ceiling to take a look to see what was up there. It does appear, based on how much of debris is on the ground, that there was an effort to get up there and make sure that they checked every crevice of this back bedroom.
And if we go back, there's another bedroom here. You can see he left all these belongings, contact lenses, personal belongings.
Yeah, so some places look more lived in.
This seems to be some sort of workspace, again, with other chemicals here. The light's still on.
This feels sus. So when she says the light's still on, and it's like the one light, and it's kind of awkwardly pointed at the wall, it's almost kind of like how you'd light it if you're more thinking about lighting like a set, like if you're going to film this right here. It's like how you'd light it if you're going to film this for like a YouTube video or whatever.
The crib belonging to their baby girl, left with her grandmother on the day of the shooting. A haunting reminder.
And this, so like the way that the clothes are laid out, like when you look at this, like first glance, does this all feel natural?
What the young family might have become.
Right? So like, because the more stuff comes out over the years, especially since like COVID times and everything else, and like whether you want to talk about Operation Mockingbird or whatever else stuff, like fake news and and propaganda. People are, I think, more willing to, like, at the get-go or be like, hey, I don't know about this, you know? So this from Chase over Sovereign Bra. So both of yesterday's terrorism suspects were U.S. Army vets stationed at Fort Bragg. This is the same military base Ryan Ruth visited 147 times prior to his attempt on Trump's life. And then what the heck is going on over there? How many people are getting MK Ultra'd at Fort Bragg? So hopefully maybe Candace Owens might do like some looking into that stuff. But yeah, like it's kind of wild. Like people need to be willing to entertain the idea that maybe if the ends justify the means, what won't people do to accomplish what they want to accomplish, right? So, is it possible that when it comes to all this stuff about these different terrorist attacks and everything else, like I remember Candace Owens was talking about how, like, U.S. government or deep state or whatever wants war with Iran, like the war machine wants war with Iran. So you have, like I'll get into it a bit more here, but you have like all this stuff about, like, I'm seeing stuff talking a lot about Islam and stuff on X right now, and like countries being invaded or whatever, like and mass migration, and then like the crime stuff that seems to be related to that, and then you got whether it's terrorist attacks, an ISIS flag found in the apparently ISIS flag found in the truck and stuff like that, and like was the claim that he was radicalized by, the Muslim extremism stuff, and then like, is it possible that, like, and again, so I'm also not an expert on this, and I don't know if this is true or not, but if you listen to Candace Owens, she'll say something along the lines roughly of like making it seem like America and possibly, so I won't speak on the other thing right now because I'm not certain enough, but America as well as another country may have potentially contributed to the creation of groups like ISIS, or at the very least America could have possibly contributed to the groups like ISIS, right? Now, to what level the U.S. may have contributed to the formation of ISIS, I don't know, and I'm not an expert enough on that topic. But like, think of it from this perspective: is it possible that the creation of ISIS could have potentially been a result of some level of U.S. government action? If that is true, then is it possible that if the ends justify the means, that they'll want to encourage or cause certain events to happen to justify certain military actions? Like, if they want war with Iran, then would it make sense that they would try to cause certain events to happen and then blame it on Iran, to then like create false flags to then get us into war with Iran? Again, I'm talking about like as if I'm an American. I'm not. But regardless, is that possible? More and more people are probably willing to entertain the idea that that might be very possible. And then, like, to what degree is all this stuff that's sus playing a part, and MK Ultra and everything else, like, it might be so much worse than we realize. And is it possible they're just trying to get us into a war before inauguration, etc.? And then, like, you got all this turmoil over mass migration and colliding cultures. So it says, this is Milan. There are no Italians, women, and children, but only North Africans and Arabs. This is what an invasion looks like. That's what Radio Genoa says. So I can't confirm if what they said here is accurate in the crowd. I don't know. There might be one Italian in there, who knows? Or maybe some of these are Italian citizens, I don't know, but just at face value, what it looks like is, so anyway, just more of that. So, again, it comes down to, like, how ought we live together? How ought we to live together? And is mass migration a net positive or net negative on a country whose culture is not necessarily similar to that of the people group that is mass migrating, right? I think there was another video I saw earlier of a pro-Palestine march in Toronto, I think. I don't have that pulled up right now, but so End Wokeness on Twitter saying New York City, 5th Avenue, just a few hours after a jihadist killed 15 in New Orleans. So I cannot confirm the time. I cannot confirm the time that this was filmed, so again, like, you'll just have to, like, you know, take their word for it or whatever. Or take it with a grain of salt or whatever. So, I don't know if this is in relation to the terrorist attack that happened, or if this is just a coincidence, but, like, are there coincidences with this? You be the judge of that. This is interesting. So this is from same profile on X. So this is quoting the guy. And then a New York imam said some time ago, or no, we will not stop until Islam enters every home, a New York imam said some time ago. I don't know if that's a quote from this video or if that's just a quote from something else. Europeans and voice crack. Europeans and Americans need to wake up. So just listen to what this guy has to say.
Be a part of Islam, and we will not stop until it enters every home. So I want you to repeat after me. I want to hear it in every single district. It should tremble. Brooklyn should hear it. The Bronx should hear it. Queens should hear it. Say it as if the Ummah depends on this, my brothers and sisters. La ilaha illallah. Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is no God worthy of worship except Allah, the God of Jesus, the God of Moses, the God of Abraham, and the God of the last and final Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Be a part of Islam.
So, this is blasphemy. To say this is blasphemy, because then, like, because the Muslims, as far as I understand, do not believe that Jesus Christ is God, right? They deny the deity of Christ or the lordship of Christ, whatever the proper theological way of saying that is. Like, they deny the true identity and true title of Christ, and so does blasphemy. And yeah, this is false. It's just it's false religion, right? So what happens? So if I don't know how many Muslims think like this, right? In terms of this kind of mentality. I don't know how many do. I don't know. But if this is the mentality of many of the Muslims that are coming over here in large amounts, then how does that play out on a long enough timeline in places like New York, in European countries, and American states, as well as, you know, you could lump Canada in there as well. How does that play out on a long enough period of time when you have people of potentially very different cultures and beliefs? Like this whole melting pot analogy. How does that play out on a long enough timeline, especially if there is a certain level of kind of militancy with the faith like that, where it's like, you know, if they really believe we will not stop until Islam enters every home, what does that look like? And what are the strategies that are employed to do that, right? So, like, these are all, like, ask questions, like, and be like, you know, is this net positive or net negative? So, first of all, if you're going to be promoting a religion that is false, that is a negative, right? Jesus Christ is Lord, right? So, when you say this, we are not on the same side, right? So there might be other things other than faith that we can agree on, whether it's like, you know, economic policy or whatever. But it's like the rubber meets the road eventually on certain topics, and we got to figure out, are we able to live together? Is this whole coexist thing even possible? And like, is it actually something that should be desired, right? So I kind of just remember the one scripture comes to mind, if possible, to try and live in peace with all people. I'm going to look it up real quick for you. So, yeah, Romans 12:8. Okay. So, where's my ESV at? If possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all, right? And if you go into the larger chapter, where is it at? Okay, so, bless those who persecute you, bless and do not curse them, rejoice with those who rejoice, weep with those who weep, live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly, never be wise in your own sight, repay no evil for evil, but give thought to do what is honorable in the sight of all. If possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of God, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. To the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. For by so doing, you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Right? So what are we supposed to be doing? Because there's probably going to be a lot of different points of view when it comes to how, especially do those in the faith, how do Christians address this kind of topic, right? So I would hope that, like we call out the false teaching, but we still have to walk in love. So what does that look like? And at the same time, like, to what degree are we supposed to, steward and be good stewards of our nations that we are in? And so what does that mean? And also, how should governments respond in a way to protect the citizenry that they're put in place over? And how to what is the proper course of action from here, right? Especially somebody, in the faith, right? Because it could be really easy to just kind of get on that bandwagon of a kind of crusader mentality or whatever, of responding more with force to something like this. But is that actually what we're supposed to be doing as born again believers? Because I feel like that's kind of a trend right now. If you follow Trad West and stuff on Twitter, I'll maybe pull up an example of a post here. Where is it at? So yeah, there's a few different camps on this, or at least probably a couple. So it's what are we supposed to be doing? What is the path forward? And what does it mean to walk in love? And, should we... This is the post here. So there's kind of there's a comparison difference between what is the proper biblical interpretation of what to do.
They fight for money. And that is our advantage. Because we fight for honor. For the honor of our brotherhood. We fight for the glory of God. And we win by the grace of God.
So yeah, so there's more so the tough thing is it's I could see why a lot of people want to get behind that mentality, because both might say they're Christians, but what is the proper interpretation, right? So because nowadays it's kind of love might be pushed in a more progressive Christian circle as basically kind of just being just be kind all the time to everybody, and be accepting, don't offend people, and it's love, but it's love without the full expression of the truth in all its fullness, and like telling people about probably shying away from telling people about sin, right? And that like there's a standard. God is just, he's love, but he is also just. He's God, you know? And so, and also like, I think to a degree maybe a lot of Christians are tired of maybe feeling like doormats, or feeling like their country is treating them badly, or we're just supposed to, like, maybe some people feel like they're being trampled upon. And so I can understand why people might want to resort to this mentality of like responding with force, but is that actually what we're called to do? And like that's the tough thing, because people might then use the example of Christ going to the cross, and it's like that was for a specific reason, for a specific purpose. Like, is every single biblical example like prescriptive, in the sense of like, are you supposed to do the exact same thing, or are you supposed to act in like manner, right? So we should seek God to figure out like what does he want us to do. You know what I mean? Be in the Word. I could do that way more, you know. But at the end of the day, like, is the truth somewhere between these two, right? Where it's like, because we must walk in love, but I don't know that that means that we should just like not defend like what is good and right in our care to defend, right? Like your family, right? Like as a father, do you have a responsibility to defend your family to the fullest extent of your ability, right? So like, what is the fullness of what we're supposed to be doing? But anyway, moving on. This from Valuetainment Media, or Valuetainment TV on Twitter. So near California's Fullerton Airport, a jet crashed into a warehouse. The fire service is on a 4-alarm response, and there have been reported casualties. So this is fairly recent. Yeah, I don't really know anything about this story. I just kind of saw it, so I thought I'd bring it up. But like, let's real quick go to Explore and go Fullerton Airport in the search. So we go latest stories. What's a good example here? So I think more info's coming on what the casualties are, but I don't actually know. So 1 second, bear with me. Okay, so I don't know if any of this is accurate in terms of like what's really happening, but from this profile on X, breaking news: plane crash in Fullerton, California. A small aircraft crashed this afternoon near Fullerton Municipal Airport, sparking a significant emergency response from local authorities and first responders. Witnesses reported the plane experiencing engine trouble moments before the crash. The aircraft came down in a nearby residential area, causing damage to structure and vehicles. Tragically, insert number of confirmed fatalities or injuries, if available, has been reported so far. The identities of victims have not yet been released as authorities work to notify families. Fullerton Fire Department quickly extinguished a fire caused by the crash, preventing it from spreading to neighboring properties. The FAA and NTSB, I don't know what that means. I'm not even sure is that Federal Aviation, or I don't know, I don't know what it means either, are investigating the cause of the crash. Residents are advised to avoid the area as the investigation continues. This is a developing story. Stay tuned for updates. have there been a considerable amount of plane crashes lately? Have there been? So I don't know if this is true either. A small plane crashed into a commercial building in Fullerton, California, resulting in 2 deaths and 18 injuries. The incident occurred around 2:15 p.m. PST near the Fullerton Municipal Airport. The plane involved was identified as a single-engine Vans RV-10. The crash led to a significant fire, causing the evacuation of more than 100 people from the building, which was a furniture manufacturing facility. Oh, so I thought it was like on the airport's like property, but I guess maybe it was just nearby. 10 of the injured were hospitalized, while 8 were treated and released at the scene. The Federal Aviation Administration, there you go, and the National Transport Safety Board, NTSB, are currently investigating. Yes, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. It's so... planes and stuff, man. So yeah, lots going on. To summarize, we should keep asking questions, stay skeptical about some of the stuff going on. So this post just came out literally like a minute ago. So, from Trump himself. Trump was right about everything. So, there you go. Real quick, I'm gonna... Oh, I just realized I didn't switch over my screen. Darn. So that, 12:22 a.m., 12:25 on my computer clock. And I'm going to drop this in there. Time to believe again. So, anyway. What are we all about? What are we supposed to be doing? Crazy times. And I'll end with this Kevin Sorbo quote. So Kevin Sorbo says, bringing this one back. Kevin Sorbo, people don't trust the government because a billionaire child trafficking ring was exposed and we still don't have the names of who participated. Hopefully 2025 will be the year of truth. And for the sake of saving the children and hopefully making all our countries better, hopefully the truth could be revealed about everything. But it's like, do you want simpler times or do you want the whole truth? You may not be able to have both. But if you do get the whole truth, then can you make things better and have simpler times again? But these are actually like good simpler times, not just like, you know, seems like simpler times but government's doing its deep state thing kind of thing. Like, is it possible to have a country that doesn't have a bad acting deep state? Is that possible? Well, we should be praying. Let's pray. So, thank you for watching. Until next time, this has been the Daily Event. How should I end this? Heavenly Father, please help us to understand what we're supposed to be doing. In Jesus' name, amen.